Driving to save the world from the evil Decepticons, the heroic Autobots are led by Optimus Prime. He's more than meets the eye. He's a Rohan in disguise.
Rohan? Who is this guy? Rohan. The one and only Rohan.
Bow, bow, bow. It is the year 2005. Okay, it's not, but who remembers what they were doing in 2005? Crikey, that was how many years ago? Too many years ago to count. But in 2005, for those of you who've been watching Rohan's Corner for a while will know I was working at Hasbro. I don't think I've mentioned it much before. And at the same time, I was also studying at university. You may be asking me, why, Rohan, are you talking about this? This is not Transformers related in any way, shape or form, other than the Hasbro connection. Well, wait with me there, my fantasy viewers, because I'm going to take you on a journey. Back in when I was at university, obviously I was studying computer-related technology stuff, and managed to secure my placement at Hasbro working in the IT department. However, I had to come up with some sort of dissertation to write in my final year, 2006 to 2007, and most people at the time were all saying the same thing. When you're working on your placement, you should be working on your dissertation at the same time. You should be looking at something you can do within your organisation to bring some benefit to them, because that will actually help you gain better marks in your dissertation result. So I'm there racking my brains thinking, well, what can I do that's related to my placement, but that's also related to computing, that's also related to Transformers in some way, because that's what I'm interested in, right? So I had this fantastic idea in 2006 to create some sort of forum. It was going to be an online forum. If we think back to the days of 2005, 2006, there weren't too many social media type environments for Transformers communities. It was still all predominantly on the forums, and in those days there was companies like TFW was around, Cybertron, and Transformers at the Moon is the one I used to use in the UK. T-Formers were quite popular. So I used to use Transformers at the Moon to communicate with the community members, buy and sell bits and pieces, and talk about sightings, that sort of thing, which is still going on today in many other places. But at that time, I felt that there wasn't really an avenue for a company like Hasbro to actually understand, speak to its target audience. And so I decided to write my dissertation all about how Hasbro should be engaging with their customer base to ensure that they're getting the right product and the right bond with their customers, to be able to create some sort of long-term loyalty and engage their fan base so that they will be in a sort of partnership. It wouldn't be a one-sided thing, i.e. the manufacturer building these figures and products for you to buy and not actually realizing that you don't really want to buy this product with this product, i.e. look at all the 2-packs of dinos with G1 type characters, or look at all the bits and pieces where you have to buy a set which you're not interested in of 3 figures, but you just want a gold bug, so on and so forth. But ultimately it would be the case that they could engage with their target audience to say, hey, US customers, do you want more Cosmos, or do you want more Override, or do you want more Hauler, or whatever, from the line? And this has been a problem in the UK for many, many years, going back to when I worked at Hasbro, and still is today, in terms of logistics and actually putting product out there on the shelves that people actually want to buy. It's a case that not always do they get what they want. And so the idea behind my dissertation premise was this: let's build a forum. The customers, i.e. all of us, collectors, all the children who are buying Transformers, their parents probably, can log on to this forum and give feedback as to what they'd like to buy and what they'd like to see as upcoming characters and what they'd like to see in terms of design aesthetics and what they'd like to see from kind of cartoon shows and movies and all this kind of good stuff. Ultimately, my idea was very, very basic. It was literally just a website with some, capability to go on and create polls and push out information. And it was supposed to be a two-way thing. It was supposed to be Hasbro also showcasing things like, the character selection that they used to do, where they would put up a poll and say, hey, which of these 4 characters would you like to see in the next line? And they could do that through this representation. And ultimately it could have leaned on and built further into what Hasbro Pulse has become today, an online shop where people could go on and buy their figures directly, which they've done in the last year or so. Obviously, this never came to fruition. Hasbro continued to manufacture Transformers, and they do obviously listen to the market to an extent, in the sense that they're snooping around on the forums, or they're snooping around in the social media sites to understand what people are complaining about, and reactively or retrospectively make some changes and create the same figure 3 times with the upgrades and updates, which we really wanted the 3rd version of in the first place. Not that I'm bitter about Ironhide or anything, but, this is still a very dinosaur legacy way of doing things, and that sounds great for you. Whereas this week I saw on the Transformers Magic Square forums on Facebook that the manufacturer of Magic Square themselves had put out a post saying, hey, I know we're hearing a lot of people are saying that we'd like to see a reissue of a couple of our figures, specifically Soundwave, Voice Ripple, and a couple of others. Trailbreaker and Perceptor have been done recently in different colour schemes. Would people like to see this reissue, and, would people buy it? And they're openly asking the question. And ultimately, if they get a good response, they'll buy it, and if they don't, they won't. And, Hasbro kind of done this with HasLab, but realistically, that's 2 figures out of 2 million that they've built in the last how many years? 35 years. So my question to all of you is, do you think Hasbro are engaged enough with us as a target audience, as a target market, as a community, as a fan base that have been collecting these figures for 35 years? Or do you think they just don't care, they're just going to continue to build the mountain and hope that people will come? For another week, I've been Rohan on Rohan's Corner. Catch you again next week. Bye-bye.
Transformers, Rohan's in disguise.